First of all, I want to welcome everyone to tonight's session. I'm Sonja. I'm co-host for this evening together with Simone, and I'm also co-founder and CEO of Evitat. So we are here today really to talk about how to make actually our homes healthy and more climate resilient. And with that, I'm just quickly sharing also my other screen. Just a second. And I really want to welcome today also Denzil Stephenson from Livos Australia, and also Jörg Hildebrand from MIG Pacific, who are joining us today in our conversation how to make actually homes better, more climate resilient, with in particular in consideration of a scorching summer outlook, and how can we actually prepare our homes for all the seasons, and what can we improve and make better actually, in particular around health aspects and also thermal comfort. So before we jump on, I just want to do also a quick acknowledgement of country. So in the spirit of reconciliation, Evitat acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea, and community. We pay our respect to their elders past, present, and emerging, and extend that respect also to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people today. We are in particular here today to listen, learn, and build a future together. So again, welcoming Jörg Hildebrand and Denzil Stephenson, who have both joined the Evitat platform with amazing products. We will dive deep into the specifics and the benefits of each of these products and solutions. And I also want to welcome Simone Schenkel from Green Eco Design, and passionate expert and very, very experienced around passive house principles, passive house design and architecture, and a vital supporter also of Evitat, and continuously my co-host in these online sessions. And I also want to welcome Daniel, our community manager of tonight's session. And Daniel is in particular here also to answer any background questions or delegate into certain areas wherever a certain interest is. So yeah, keep also shooting through any questions around specifics you want to be get answered during the session, but also if there's any other query around the materials and products we are discussing today. So I will hand it over to Simone, and Simone, you can take basically on the first questions and delegate the session.
Awesome. Yeah, very excited to be here again today. A very important topic about health and the environment. And yeah, great to have you here, Jörg and Denzil. And I guess Jörg knows already the drill a little bit. So what we're going to do is, and therefore I'm going to start with you, Jörg, is, for everyone listening in, can you give us a little bit of a background about yourself? Who are you? How did you get into, MIG Pacific? And, just a little bit of your background story would be great.
I've always been quite mindful of waste, whether it's material waste or waste of energy. That's just I was brought up, and during my professional career, this was always I have been always in sort of energy management and building automation. For the past 10 years, I was an accredited energy, waste and water assessor under the neighbor scheme. And I always looked into solutions which not only working and do their job and are quite nice, but also are a smart investment. So you actually get a reasonable return of investment. That means what you save in energy actually lands in your pockets and not in interest payment or capital investment and things like that. This very product and working together with MIG in Germany was for several reasons. It does basically everything I'm looking for. It saves energy, but with virtual no downside. It's very healthy, so low VOCs, no mold, no bacteria. It has creates a good climate in a room, has antimicrobial properties, and it's also safe, which means it's not flammable. So that's how I came to that.
Right. And we're going to talk a bit the product in more detail shortly, because it's a really fascinating product. And I think most people just don't even have an idea that something like this exists. So
yes.
So Denzil, over to you. If you could maybe give us a bit introduction about you, who are you? How did you get into sustainable, whatever, painting, coatings, oils and everything? And, a bit of your background would be great.
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity. So my name is Denzil Stephenson, and I'm the director of Livos Australia. Livos by itself is a German-based company, and it has distribution in various parts of Europe, the US, as well as Asia and Asia Pacific. Now, I got involved with it after living a fair amount of time in Asia and in Europe in particular, and was determined in my next move to do something about the environment and make sure that we lived a healthier and more sustainable life. And therefore, when I set up my company, and I have two companies that are involved in this, one of them is Livos, and the other is also involved in the reduction of plastics. So we're committed towards that cause. Livos in particular is great because it was started by people who were allergic to chemicals, who were allergic to toxins, and therefore they built this product around themselves so that it is a healthy product right from its conception. And as we go through this, and we'll touch on various aspects about it, Livos is great for any part of your building structure that you want, often specified by architects. If one of their clients says, I have a child who's allergic to something, or who, they say the whole family has certain concerns, they say, sure, we've got a good product for you. It's called Livos. You can use that. You can use it on your floors. You can use it on the various furniture in the kitchen. So that's my background, and that's where the Livos connection comes in.
Awesome. Maybe then we just continue with that, Denzil. If you could start and please give us a bit of the basics behind the natural finishes and their benefits, and what is it that you're trying to achieve with Livos, and what are the health, safety, and environmental benefits? Why is it different?
Right. So let's start with the very base, the flooring. So one of the things that Livos does promote is flooring. It's for timber floors, and it can be used for concrete floors as well. So there are a few pictures that you can see up there, and you'd see that the finish is really good. So what sets Livos as a different approach to all this? One, it is an all-natural product. It has no toxins. It has no chemicals in that. And it's very unique in the sense that, I'm going to hold up a tin here. Every product of ours has the full declaration. So in that, it gives you everything that's in there. People ask, why do you need to know everything that's in there? Of course, you need to know everything in there because you could be allergic to something. People say, if it's all natural, what could be harmful about it? But you can be allergic to natural products as well. Take peanuts, for example. It's a totally natural product, and people are allergic to that. So yeah, we put it all out there. So why are we different? because most other companies will tell you 98%, 99% about what's in their product. Livos gives you 100% declaration. That is in the product. You read it fully. If there's anything you're allergic, then please do not use it. But generally, you go through that and say, yep, that's fine. It's a great start. The other thing people say is, what's so important about having a floor that's non-toxic, no chemicals, doesn't off-gas? Well, when I first examined this question, I was amazed at how many people use anything on the floor. And then when you get a little child, whether it's your daughter, son, your grandchild, whatever, you put them on the floor. And they're about 6 inches away from the floor, and they're crawling around the floor all day. And they're inhaling all these gases and off gases from there, and all these toxins going in. And then we wonder why they're ill or something. Here you've got a purely natural product, absolutely wonderful. You can get a great finish while you're doing it, and it's healthy. It's an all natural product.
Yeah, Denzil, on that note, I really want to dive even deeper into that. In particular, what you just mentioned, for example, the direct contact. When families, for example, often enough, when you start a family, you move into new places because there's a child and so on. They do crawl on floors all the time. And I think that's a wonderful opportunity to think really deeply what they are exposed to. And I want also to mention, for example, any finishes like oils and other things we usually buy off the shelf. Think of the moment when you apply them, for example. It is often enough like the off-gassing is that really heavy smell in the room, and sometimes it stays there for weeks or months even. And that's exactly what Denzil is referring to, and we will dive probably in a few minutes also into volatile organic components, the so-called VOCs. But it's a really important aspect to consider, in particular with young kids, small kids, who are playing actually often enough on floors and who spend a lot of time even inside. So yeah, I just wanted to give that aspect because I find this always an area where there's so much consideration around other things, in some ways even fashion and everything. But when it comes to building materials, that's actually contributing to your indoor air quality. And it's quite significant how that actually plays a role in your health. And I think, Simone, you can probably add a couple of aspects also in terms of asthma and those kind of things, maybe to that conversation.
Yeah, so definitely, I was just going to say, it's not just about kids. So I'm personally really sensible to the smells, so if you do the typical plastic, I just call it plastic coating now, everyone knows what I mean for the timber floors, I get massive head migraines. And I experienced it the first time, I think the first or the second year I moved to Australia, because the office next door where I was working, they got the floors redone. And I had migraines for days. I actually couldn't go to work. I was so sick, and I didn't at first know what it was. And then over the years, I understood the pattern. So it was really, all the toxins, and I just can't cope with that. And that was then one of the reasons when we did our previous reno, when I learned about Livos and through my work. And so we had used it on our floors, and I just loved it. And the good thing is, might be jumping a few steps ahead here. But what I liked as well, that it's much easier to do yourself, because with a typical flooring, you have to do the entire house, you have to resend it all back and get it all laid out again. Versus with the Livos, what I love is that you can just fix it, if you need to fix it somewhere. And it was just something you could go straight in pretty much, and it wasn't stinking or smelling yet. It was really good.
Thank
Absolute
you for that, Simone. Sorry, Sonja.
No worries. Go on. I think
Sonja touched on
that's lived experiences on that side. Sorry. Go on. Sorry.
Sure. Simone touched on a very important aspect, and that sort of dovetails into using the product. And she said you can do it yourself. It's a do-it-yourself product. It's incredibly easy to apply. But the aspects that are of real interest is that you can spot repair it, or you can do your house room by room. So you don't have to move out of the house and get ready for something. You can do one room at a time. The rest of the family can live in the rest of the rooms, and you can do it yourself if you wanted to. That's one aspect. The second aspect is a financial aspect. After you do it once, so the first time you do it, you do have to get your floor prepared. So as you'd need to sand off, especially if it's got a polyurethane or, as Simone said, plasticky covering. You need to get that off. Once that's off and the floor is prepared, you never have to sand your floor again. Because after a year, 2 years, 3 years, some people after 5, 6 years, we have them coming in to find out which oil they actually used. And we ask them, when did you buy it? They think, it's a long time ago, 7 years. When we check the records, it's probably 8 or 9 years. And for them to rejuvenate their floor, all they need to do is clean the floor and apply another coating of the oil. And they can do that room by room, and you can, in a week, rejuvenate your entire house without having to sand it. And that is a huge saving on cost. It's a huge saving to the family with the dust. It's bad for the environment, the amount of stuff that goes into the air. So all this is in favor of that. The third important aspect, and this also touches on kids, it touches on other things. This the Kunos product that is used by Livos is food safe. So even if a child is eating something off the floor, which hopefully they aren't, but if they are, it's still food safe. And people talk about why do you need it to be food safe and things of that sort. This particular product is also used on things like cutting boards in the kitchen. When you put a hot vegetable or any other food stuff on that's hot, it can reactivate some of the other chemicals that are in there. With the Livos product, it's food safe. So even if it does reactivate or anything, it's still food safe. Whereas with something else that might have toxins or chemicals in there, you absolutely have no idea what is being absorbed by the food content and what you're then putting in your body. So these are some of the important aspects that support the use of something like this. Needless to say, you can use it on your floors, you can use it in your kitchens, you can use it on your furniture for all the same properties that I've just outlined.
Yeah, it's amazing. And like you said, like just this sanding, if someone has tried to sand a house while furniture is in, even if you tape your ropes and whatnot, the dust just goes everywhere. It's just, so disgusting, so horrible. And just by saving that, not needing that, I think that alone is something that almost sells it for me, even if you're not too much concerned about the health aspects, which everyone should be. But, even that alone, I think, is a big, big selling point.
Absolutely. And it's not just houses. Organizations, for instance, the Collingwood Town Hall, that uses this, and they rejuvenate it every year or sometimes twice a year. But that is a place with a lot of activity, and all they need to do is clean the floor and apply another coating, and it's fully rejuvenated. It's ready for their next functions.
Yeah, it's amazing. Really good. Okay, maybe Jörg, should we go a little bit to you? Can you explain us a little bit more about what what the coatings are for the wall and roof systems, and what are these solutions achieving? Why they're special, and what are the benefits for comfort, health, and everything?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, it's pretty simple. You see on one of the pictures the guy coating a roof just with a roller. It looks like he's painting it white, and what he actually does, he applies about a 0.4 of a millimeter coat, which is low emission, highly reflective, and does another thing, introduces water or moisture management. I like to introduce that concept. I mean, we all know that, but not in relationship to building materials most of the time. We all know, say, 30 degrees in Queensland in summer is terribly hot because it's humid. Comparably, you go 40 degrees in say in Adelaide, it's hot, but nothing really to be concerned about. And when it's cold, the same thing. 10 degrees in the Melbourne winter, where it's humid, it's really freezing. You go to the mountains and it's minus 10, minus 15, or even minus 20 with dry air. It's actually quite nice if the sun is out. So humidity has a massive factor. And this is because water has a high heat capacity and high heat conductivity. And what our product does as well, it minimizes condensation and keeps surfaces dry. It actually gets humidity out of the substrate, and it's highly breathable. Water, air goes easily through because it's just basically a mineral coating on the surface. I also want to introduce that concept of low emission. We know that, I think, especially the window manufacturers make quite a big deal out of that. And we know that, say from a black car, it absorbs heat readily and it radiates. It gets really hot, while a white car doesn't heat up as much. It doesn't absorb as much energy, and it doesn't radiate as much. Our product is low emission, and you could say, well, white is probably the best you can do. A normal white paint has an emissivity of about 0.93. Whereas our product has an emissivity of 0.3, so a third of that. Normal low E paints have about 0.5. So we increase that a fair deal. We can apply the coating to roofs, to walls, to ceilings, inside and outside. The principle is all the same. It's just weather protection. When we look at conventional insulation, we always have that problem when it gets humid, as I mentioned. When, say, mineral wool gets a bit wet, and just 4% is enough to reduce the effectiveness by 50%. Whereas our product does the opposite, keeps the surfaces dry. Having things dry, there is no mold and no bacteria. Pretty simple. So there are no chemicals and things like that involved which have side effects or we are out over time.
It's completely also through natural mineral ingredients.
Yeah, it's mineral. Yeah. It's all mineral based.
Yeah. On the note, maybe just to drop in one experience. When I met first Jörg, and he was talking about MIG Pacific and the ESP range of coating solution, you had actually that aluminum plate.
That little plate here.
Yeah. I wish we would have something to you know, to transmit basically the experience of that plate, but it's quite incredible. Yeah. It has one side coated with the ESP solution. The other side, I think, is just normal paint. Is that correct?
Just normal paint, yeah.
Yeah. So when you touch that part with the normal paint, you will still feel really the cold material through.
Yeah.
The normal expected experience. And when you touch the lower part, which is coated, there's no cold actually transmitted, which was for me immediately really that moment of this is how it works, you know. And that's exactly how the principles of ESP coating actually works also on a larger surface, might be outside, inside. But what I really love with this solution is the vapor permeability. That means really, like we have homes now where we want to be energy efficient. We're trying, you know, to fill all these gaps and to make them not as air leakage as they are at the moment. But often enough, that creates another huge issue, which is mold. And mold in itself is a massive health issue across the nation here in Australia. And I think it's really to consider what can we do and how can we choose material choices, home improvements that don't, you know, solve on one side one issue, but create a massive other problem on the other side. So that's exactly where I think, for example, that solution works really well, in particular when you have maybe also areas which are tricky, like let's say we have like a lot of buildings, old building stock, where you have limited space and you might not be able actually to add another layer of insulation. So you can apply inside and outside the ESP coating solution. And with that, you create a really healthy indoor environment, but you're also creating thermal efficiency. Jörg, can you give us an example? Actually, I don't have here anything, I think, in these examples, but maybe something which clarifies a little bit better. What are these typical measurements in efficiency and or the differences actually in comparable cases?
Yeah. I mean, it always depends on the existing building, and also the climate to have the exact numbers. But what we from experience, I mean, the product is on the market since about 2008, 2009. We see constantly energy savings in the range of 20 to 25%, sometimes 30 in warmer climates. And when a building or a room is coated inside and outside, it's around 40%. That and for example, that building, what we're seeing here, this is in Collins Street here in Melbourne. We just finished. The reason why they applied our coating was it's a heritage listed building. Actually, they can't change anything except for applying a coating like a normal paint. So we structurally it's still the same building, and we're looking to achieve about 25% energy saving.
That's great.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting. I mean, in the front, what you see here from Collins Street, I mean, you can't reach, but when you go to the back of the building, you can go in there. There's a small lane, and you actually touch this building, and you touch the building next door. You feel a massive difference in temperature, and that's basically just the heat is not sucked out of your body or your hand. I mean, we all know that in winter, sitting next to the window or to a cold wall, it really feels uncomfortable, even if the room temperature is, say, 22 or even more degrees. You still feel uncomfortable because the cold wall or the cold window absorbs the radiant heat from your body. And that's exactly what we stop.
Yep, that's right. Okay, I would say let's go a little bit deeper into this topic.
Yeah.
So the title of this webinar is Unlock Toxin-Free Shielding and Thermal Protection this spring. Learn all about transformative natural finishes and thermal coatings. You know, quite a mouthful, a long title. But why do you think people, should care about this topic? How can materials that you choose for your renovations, make or break your health, or, what are the ecological or efficiency outcomes that you can get for your home? Sure, maybe Denzil, if you want to start with this one.
Sure. So, I think it's one of the major considerations because your home is essentially where you're going to spend the most of your time. Your children are going to grow up in there. Your families are going to live. Therefore, you should take all precautions to make sure that they're giving the best environment in which to function. So I touched briefly on the health functions as well when I spoke about it earlier, but there's numerous other areas that you're probably going to bring up. One is that you talk of permeability now and providing some sort of protection in that respect. Now, what we have here is an oil sealer. It's not going to let air flow through in and out, but it is permeable, it is breathing, so that if it absorbs moisture, it will extrude the moisture as well, which is a great deterrent towards creating mold. The second thing that you're going to have when you have these sort of timbers out there is the versatility that you can use it for different functions within the house. So you can use the same for your furniture, you can use the same for your flooring, you can use the same for the other wooden aspects of the house. And we also have the area for walls, which at the moment we are doing a bit of research on because they're trying to increase the life of the product before application. And once they do that, we will bring that into Australia, which is going to include stuff like lime wash, which if you look at previous times, lime was considered a healthy coating to put on your walls. And that's what we want to bring in so that you can cover the walls, you can cover your floors, you can cover the ceiling. You're going to surround yourself with healthy alternatives. The other aspect that I want to touch on in terms of the Livos product is and I did touch on it earlier, it is the ease of application. So I just want to show you that what we have out here is various types. I don't think this is going to come out too well on the background is preventing it. So guys, I'll step away from that. But what you can actually do with that is create a lot of versatility in what you're doing and still remain healthy. And it doesn't actually remain in the house. You can extend it outside your house. So there's decking. Livos carries a range of natural decking oil that you can use exterior, and it comes in a number of tints that you can use. You can't use clear because with the Australian climate, It's not going to provide you the protection from the sun, but you come close to clear with light oaks and light teak and other stuff. And if you want to make a bold statement, you can move to something like black as well. I don't know if you'd be able to actually see this one very well, but it does show you the black and the gray there. It touches on the other aspects that can be used. So this takes the healthy living not just within the house, it takes it outside the house as well. So you can do the exterior of your house, the decking, the furniture on which your kids play with outside. They can all be done with a natural product. And the other thing is when you use this and you wash it, it goes into your garden. It's a natural product. It's not going to affect your plants. It's healthy for the environment. So it's an all-round natural, environmentally friendly product to use.
But speaking of color, what we had done back then when we renovated our place, our timber flooring, once we had taken off the carpet, was really yellow, so it wasn't a nice tone. So we had actually used one of your white, not our stains or colors or something. So we had given it a white and then used the natural oil, and it turned out really, really beautiful. That was a good way to play a bit with the different options too. I did like that.
Yeah, that's a great point you raise. The other reason they use the natural clear as the finishing coat, even if you do use a tint at the bottom, is because when you want to rejuvenate your flow, you only have to rejuvenate the clear, which is very easy to do. You don't have to look for a mix and a match of getting the right tints. You just use the clear, and that retains the tints at the bottom. So, that's the other reason why someone would have used a clear to finish off the product. It just makes maintenance so much easier and so easy to keep clean and rejuvenate.
Yeah, quite. So Jörg, what do you say? Why should people think about this topic? How can you bring it in your project, or should you?
I mean, I don't think people deliberately ignore health and energy aspects. I don't think anybody would say, no, I don't want an energy efficient house. Nobody says, I want to live in a damp, moldy place. Nobody is saying that. But I think there's the, how should I say, people do not expect better. They are so used to it that they accept the status quo, and it's probably not really that they don't want that they don't care. They're a bit ignorant of the possible solutions, and that's my experience getting this product to the market, that it's pretty hard to change that perception, and I think Evitat does an excellent job to introduce these products and help people to have better and healthier and more energy effective solutions. So if we don't change the products, if we sort of play it safe and stay with conventional products, nothing really will change. A lot of people are more concerned about, say, colors and things like that, and I mean we cater for that as well. There are plenty, and we color match and things like that. However, it's and it's good you show that picture. This is actually an architect's office. It's an old church in Brisbane, which was converted to an architect's office, and we went there to introduce that, and then I saw that wall, and everybody was a bit, it has been like that for ages, and well, that's how it is in these old buildings. And then I showed them pictures of a church here in Melbourne, which we renovated, which pretty much looked exactly like this. also a bluestone building. And we showed them and said, well, that's actually what you can achieve. And so they tried it. You see that on the right-hand side. And suddenly they said, oh, well, that's much nicer. It actually is now dry. It is warm. The receptionist who was sitting next to the wall, she was complaining. It's and remember, this is Brisbane. She said, "Oh, that's always cold here." Yeah, of course, because it's wet. So that's I think that's what we have to get across, and that there are actually solutions to these issues, and people actually it does matter if they care, because they can change things.
And I think one important thing to mention is, talking about misconception or not knowing. I think there is this misconception in Australia that any product that I get in a hardware store is healthy or is good for me. And sadly, that is not the case. And I mentioned it on previous occasions that many products that you still get in Australia, they have ingredients that are forbidden in Europe for over 30 years. So not everything you buy here is actually good for you. And just because it's in the shelf doesn't mean you should use it. So doing your own research is quite important, and thinking about the health of your family and not just what is cheapest in the hardware store.
Yeah.
On that note, I just want also to highlight Denzil. Actually, both products work really well. In particular, also, for example, in environment for early childcare, where you have maybe even aged care, like where you have in schools in particular. And I think Denzil, you have at the top here like an indoor training equipment or basketball court. That's exactly where these products really and the benefits actually contribute to entire communities. And I think this is a really nice way also to look into the benefits. And I guess maybe a church, maybe a childcare facility or a sports facility where a lot of people gather together to think actually to choose building materials and finishes and products, like, for example, also coating, which come with multiple benefits, is such an important part. And you can translate that easily to your home as well. Most of these existing buildings come with restrictions. They're not easy to retrofit or upgrade in any sense. But they are great solutions. And that's exactly what we want to highlight in particular here. On that note, Denzil, VOC, in particular, like the volatile organic compounds. I think you had that one stat, how much less VOC is in your product versus conventional products.
Sure. You mentioned VOC. VOC is such a complex subject, and I am not an expert on VOC, but it's understanding VOCs a little more. For instance, an orange is a VOC, and that is one aspect of it. But once it dissipates, it's no longer harmful. The other thing is, in understanding our VOCs, we have products that have absolutely no VOCs. We have products that have low VOCs, but it's a type of VOC that you're going to use. So even our products which have low VOCs, once the off-gassing occurs, they're perfectly safe. They're not going to harm anything. And it can happen in the first few hours after, and most of the time it does happen in the first couple of hours after the product is applied, and then it's safe. You have to compare it against products that say when they're tested, they have no VOCs, but over the life of the product, it continues to off-gas. And that is even more harmful than a product that initially may appear to have VOCs, but the VOCs dissipate in a couple of hours. But here you have a product that for the next few years, it's going to continuously slowly off gas below the regular limits. And that's the important aspect to keep in mind. I'll make a note.
Yeah. On that side, I think in particular when we are looking into buildings, for example, you know, like old buildings, when they are exposed to heat, usually the off-gassing actually exaggerates as well. That means you have more materials off-gassing. So thinking of something which does it less or actually removes that health risk completely is a great way actually to look into healthy indoor air quality in general, healthy environments.
The other aspect with VOCs one should keep in mind, and we are conscious of that with our product, is coverage. So to explain it very simply, do you use a low VOC that has small coverage when you can use a little higher VOC that has a larger coverage, and you find over the total area you've actually used less VOC than if you had stuck with the low VOC products? I'm not in any way advocating VOCs. I'm just trying to depth it down that VOC has to be understood a little more deeply. You go to the office, you're full of VOCs. This pen has VOC. Your marker on your whiteboard is a VOC. The toner in your printers, they're all VOCs. It's how we utilize it and the aspect of it. And that's where, with the Livos product, it's all natural. It's not going to linger on like a chemical that stays on and on. Yes, our products contain orange oil, and I said at the start, orange oil is a VOC, but it dissipates, and then it's gone. And we do have other products as well that have no VOC. So we understand the importance of VOC. I refer back to the original statement, the Livos, the family that owns and runs Livos, is chemically sensitive. Anything chemical would affect them. And they are living their life in the factories, working around. So nothing we produce out there is something that's really harmful from that aspect. And the Livos product fits that range perfectly.
Yeah, I so agree. And so I think this is also probably a really good reminder. I mean, natural oils, we have clover oil, and they are quite strong as well. And even mentioning the orange oil, I think certain things are naturally potent as well. But again, I think looking into how I think certain materials or products are made, the compositions and everything. And Livos is very dedicated, what you mentioned in the beginning, to make it completely transparent. Also, MIG has also the full disclosure of EPD safetiness and so on. We have all of this added also to your product pages on Evitat, and so that people can be informed. And I think that's, again, a really important aspect, actually making these choices and decisions, what to choose, what to apply to certain solutions or aspects of areas. So I think both material and product solutions have great combined benefits, actually.
Can I add a final note on that? The Livos product is living building challenge compliant. So it had all the VOC's emissions have been independently tested. They've measured it, and they have been confirmed and accepted. So there is a confirmation from them that there is no red list chemicals present in the product, and the full list of ingredients openly declared. So nothing in there is harmful, and hence we are certified as being compliant with the living building challenge.
Which is quite a hard thing to get.
It is.
Yes.
It is. Your product has got to be above board. There is no lurking somewhere in between or little of this that's snuck in there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And therefore, I'm very confident in saying, that this is going to contribute to people's standard of living, their standard of health, and the well-being of their families. Which, when you take renovation is someone who's going to do something up for the betterment of their families, for the betterment of their living standards. So why not do it properly and reap the benefits of health as well as well-being?
Yeah. That's good. And I'm seeing, Sonja, we're getting close to the hour. So I'm wondering, we don't want to hold people too long, but we didn't manage to get through all our questions. So I think I'm going to put a question to you, Jörg and Denzil. Is there something we haven't mentioned yet that you definitely want to share to our listeners?
What did we
we're not going to manage all the questions.
Okay, so Jörg, if you want to say something, please go ahead.
Yeah.
Denzil, if you want to start.
Sure. I just want to say that
I'm just looking here what we might have missed is.
Yeah, we covered a lot, so I think we can't we haven't missed much.
Yeah. So
but maybe one starting point is, if someone's thinking about, healthy choices for their renovation extension, where should they start? Where should they look, or where do they find you? Obviously, here, but on Evitat, but where should they start looking?
When I would really direct them to the Evitat site because that's we sell direct. So either from our website, our contacts, we have a warehouse here in Melbourne, or from Evitat.
So from our side, one to Evitat, you can buy it. We'd encourage you to do that. Additionally, we have resellers in every state of Australia. We also can sell you direct from here, or if you place the order to Evitat, you can get it from there. If you wanted to drop in and see us personally, we're more than happy to do tests for yourselves. In the sense, you may not be sure which kind of flooring finish you want. Bring us the raw material. We'll do the samples for you. You can take it away, decide by yourself which you want to do. But firstly, yes, on this forum, we would encourage you to place your orders with Evitat, and we will be happy to extend full support for products purchased in that way, including, we are open from 8:30 to 4:30 every day. We're happy to assist you with technical applications. We're happy to assist you on a step-by-step process with the job. So it's all geared towards making you feel comfortable, happy to do it yourself, confident that you will get a good outcome.
So actually, Daniel have just highlighted one good question that we haven't talked about yet. A question for Denzil and for Jörg. The embodied carbon, embodied water, waste, and resources of our building materials have a huge impact, on our area. So what role can, these better solutions have on extending the life's home of floors, decks, walls, and cladding as well?
Traditional, say, paints, what a lot of people compare our product against, are naturally not very suitable for recycled content. And typically you don't recycle. If you take down a building, you throw everything away, and then you have sort of plasticky acrylic components in landfill. Very hard to recycle. Our product, because it's mineral-based, is more suitable for recycled materials. We have about 15% of recycled content, and it can go back. I mean, you won't separate that from say concrete or bricks or whatever it was applied to, but in general, it can be milled down and be reused in forming new building materials. The embodied energy is minimized. That's actually one of the backgrounds of the company. They are coming from the cement industry, and the core business originally was what would be called today green cement and green concrete, low chromate content, and binders which need less energy. So the same principles are applied in our coating.
Thank you, Jörg. Well, with the Livos product, it's an all natural. So the process is a completely natural process of its creation. So when you talk of embodied carbon, embodied water, you also include the production process that utilizes all of this in its end result. So for us, that aspect doesn't amount to anything or very little because of the fact that it's all natural. How does it extend the use? Again, I'd touch on the fact that yes, there is very little embodied water or waste or resources because we are using natural products all the time. And the process is natural. Most of the buildings are used, and there are many of our distributors who actually specialize in recycling all these products, especially the timber products from older buildings, rather than see it get disposed of. So that is enhancing the life of the product. It carries it forward. With the use of the Livos product, it's again rejuvenated and extends the life of that building.
Yeah, that's a great aspect, like the life extending abilities of both products, basically, but also in the case of Livos in particular, it's basically cradle to grave. So you're not actually contributing anything harmful. Same applies also for MIG Pacific products. When it gets to the end of life, these products won't actually hold any threats to the environment or anything. So again, this is a really big, important part. We are always on the lookout for suppliers and manufacturers who are contributing to product ranges, which are not just coming with one benefit side, but also really looking into end-of-life use and will it actually go or will it leak maybe certain things into the environment after that? So both products are safe and don't contribute anything. They basically go back to nature.
Yep. And we have a few questions here from the guests. Do you both have actual physical stores where people could come and see your products?
Yes, we have physical stores. So the Livos store itself is in Melbourne. It's in Dandenong. That is a physical store. But we have places like the Enviro Shop in Northcote, and also in other parts. They have branches. Planet Arc in Perth Fremantle area. That's a physical shop. Eco at Home in Sydney. Among the Trees, another great organization that recycles timber. That's in Marrickville, Sydney. There's Painted Earth in Byron Bay. And there are quite a few others along the way that all contribute towards being open shops where they sell our product. They're happy to do, samples for you, or if not, send the samples to us and we will do it. But yes, you can walk into shops in Sydney, in Melbourne, Perth, where Hobart's got two of them. Teros, which is an eco-friendly shop in Hobart. It's a walk-in shop, and they sell an abundance of Livos products. So yeah, we do have a lot of shops that are available. Go to our website, check our stockists, or otherwise give us a call. We'll be more than happy to assist you.
Perfect. What about you, Jörg?
We have a representative in Brisbane. Otherwise, there is at this point in time the warehouse here in Melbourne.
Let's get through just two more questions. Want to make sure we're getting through them. A couple of questions for you, Jörg. One is, when do you apply the paint on internal buildings? Do you have to remove the old paint?
You don't need to remove it. If it's really sealing off, we recommend that it's perforated. There is a little tool where you just roll over the old paint to crack it open, and then you can apply our coating over that old paint. We have a special primer, depending on what the substrate is, that might change them, so that attaches to the old paint, given that the old paint is not flaking off, of course.
Yeah,
but if that's structurally safe, then perforating and applying it over it.
Good. A little follow-up question to that: is there a minimum order if someone wants to use your coating?
We can do it by liter. Typically, we have 15-liter drums.
Good.
15.
Yeah, 15. Okay. But then last question, I think, is has it been tested if the coating improves the R value of an external wall and or of a roof, and if so, by much? How much?
It does. It's about 20 to 25%.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. Good. I
think I saw on the I think I saw the MIG website as well, Jörg. It's generally R2.5 improvement, the ESP product. Did I see that somewhere?
I wouldn't know. No, if then there is a percentage, because it obviously depends what the existing material is. We have to understand that our product, I mean, it's a very thin film, 0.4 of a millimeter, as such, has not an R value to speak of. It's the combination of moisture management and reflectiveness and low E, what creates that improvement.
Right.
But that can be demonstrated. We see that in real life, and it also can be modeled very well. It's a very complex tool, but since it's there, relatively simple.
That's good. Okay, Sonja, was there something else you wanted to talk about?
So just on the note, if you do actually a retrofit, if you do home improvements, and you do order, for example, something, any of these products through the Evitat platform. On that note, I just wanted quickly to, because I've added a couple of screenshots of the logbook. These purchases will be converted in locked home improvements to your logbook. So you, and the logbook is basically here to support you along the way of all these good improvements. You're doing retrofits, renovations, in the context of sustainable material and product choices, and it has the full range actually, from biomaterials to renewable energy sources and solutions. So anything that improves actually the performance of your home, the health, affordability, comfort, but also the environmental, social impacts, as well as the carbon contributions. So along the way, we will convert that also into sustainable property value. And I just wanted to quickly showcase, we have a section, Lock Your Status, where, for example, that information will be added automatically into your logbook, contributes then into the home impact. And there's a bit also what we want to do with these data points later on, like I said, property value, but also enabling you, for example, in future to benefit when you are talking with your architect, with your builder, with your tradesperson, to have better conversations around what do you want to achieve with your home improvements and renovations, and also to access maybe certain finance solutions, which are basically really restricted around certain criteria for sustainability, low environmental impact, and reducing actually carbon within renovations and retrofits. So this is all what I wanted also to showcase, and we are pretty much over time. But I want to thank you, everyone, in particular our two panelists today joining with these great product solutions, Jörg Hildebrand and Denzil Stephenson. I really want to thank you also to be part of the Evitat Responsible Business community. And everyone who has joined us today, like explore the Evitat platform. We have a community part where you can ask and continue also conversations around the products. Denzil and Jörg are both also part of the community. If you want to contact them directly, feel free to do so. Other than that, we hope to see you then in one of our next sessions as well. We are always having really interesting products and material on display in these webinars. So keep joining and enjoy otherwise your evening today. And thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sonja. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.